Hi, this is Bob Samuels, founder of TechConnectr. TechConnectr is a marketplace and campaign management platform of best-of-breed, account-based marketing lead generation solutions. We've partnered with the B2B Marketing Exchange to bring you wisdom from leading account-based marketing thought leaders. To that end, I'm happy to introduce you to Laz Gonzales, Chief Strategy Officer at Zift Solutions. Laz is a prominent channel marketing industry analyst and a thought leader, and will be presenting Getting Smart About Applying AI in a B2B Channels at the B2B Marketing Exchange on February 26th. Laz, it's a pleasure to speak with you. How are you today?
Good, Bob. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You've got a great background, and I'd love to hear your take on account-based marketing, artificial intelligence, and how all of it applies in the channel marketing world. It's getting interesting.
Yeah, it sure is, and I think spending a few minutes to talk about all of that is what I'm here for. Account-based marketing, obviously, is really important whether you're selling direct or through channels. And as you know, I have a particular spin on things from the channel side of the world.
Yes, maybe we can talk about if you can give a little bit of a background about where you've been. You've got some really good, interesting background both as a practitioner and as an advisor.
Yeah, so I've been around the channel for a very long time. I started on the supplier side and both on the partner side. And if you guys know anything about DEC, remember Digital Equipment Corporation? That was a long time ago. But I was actually a partner of DEC's, and then I went on to work for software companies and really saw the birth of channels in terms of software reselling in the high-tech industry, and then moved on to that and assumed some international responsibilities and ran channel programs for two software companies internationally. One of them was Lotus. It got turned to IBM, and then I worked with Bon as well, selling ERP throughout Latin America. And, Bon was a European company. So let's just say, for 23 or so years, I spent a lot of time, working with channel companies.
Ever since you were 12.
Yeah, right. No pictures involved, right? But no, seriously, I mean, the next thing that happened to me was that I turned the page and went from, being the practitioner to moving over and helping people run their channel programs as an analyst for serious decisions, which at the time I joined them was, room full of guys in a couple of office suites and really thinking about how, companies go to market, the advent of digital marketing and so on. So I got a lot of benefit from sitting next to really smart people in these areas. I know you're a big fan of lead generation and top of the funnel. There's a lot of folks there that I also learned from, and over a period of 8 years built a channel practice taking into consideration some of these things. So you think about ABM in the channel, right? There's research that we worked on my team around these topics. And then the last piece of this was that I really felt that looking across hundreds of channel programs, that the technology was behind. In other words, that channel leaders were forced to invest in multiple solutions, a tool to manage partners commonly known as PRM, a tool to market with them known as channel marketing and management or CMM, another tool to do incentives, another tool to do training, and the list goes on. And when you think about the channel in an organization, it's usually an underfunded function, let alone giving it the authority to make 5 software decisions. So I said, this is crazy. We need to offer the market something that is a little bit more focused on end-to-end solutions. And so I joined Zift and joined them as a chief strategy officer 2 years ago. And we've been through a couple of mergers and acquisitions, and now we're delivering that end-to-end to the marketplace. So, something that kind of rounds it out for me in terms of my professional experience. So.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned international. How much is international? How much has the marketing approach changed, especially with GDPR and so forth?
Oh, I mean, sure. You talk about offers and nurture programs and things like that, where we take it for granted that we can, I wouldn't say spam, but make these offers freely to lists and to names. Where in Europe, for example, you just can't go do that. And moreover, not only is there privacy with the lists and how you use them, but also with the resellers and the data that they're providing you. So not only do you have to accommodate your relationship with end users, but you also have to accommodate this intermediary, which has their own sets of privacy rules and applications that they have to worry about. So it varies in a lot of different ways, and I think the smarter you use this, the better anyway, because you shouldn't go against blind lists anyway, and people will respond to you based on what data or what information you might have on them, right? And that's the whole premise of ABM. The customer is 3 times more likely to take you up on an offer than the customer you don't know. So those are important things, and they're fundamental both in the channel and internationally. But of course, internationally, there are many more restrictions, and this 2-tier relationship I just mentioned is also another caveat that you have to think through.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's forcing us to market smarter anyway. I mean, it's a smart way to do it. So I think it's a good habit.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to your presentation at the B2BMX. It's on that Tuesday, the 26th at 11:25, on getting smart on applying artificial intelligence in B2B channels. So how is applying artificial intelligence in B2B channels different or similar to marketing to end clients?
Well, let's just think about it. First of all, the artificial intelligence and machine learning, is a new change in the channel, or something that's being introduced to the channel. I would say over the last 12 months or so, people have been thinking about it. So it begs for a definition. And up until this point, there was propensity modeling. There were a lot of distributors out there and partners and suppliers that were using data to target customers. So, for example, if somebody bought virtualization software, well, that'd be an opportunity for somebody to upsell them virtualized storage, right? And that propensity makes sense. Understanding who that partner is and who the buyer is, you could almost triangulate the perfect fit or the perfect solution. And that's propensity model. You take that a step further, and now you look at data and you say, I've got data in different places. I've got it in learning, I've got it in opportunities, I've got data on my partners. How do I harness this to make more predictive decisions, right? So it's not just what's likely to happen, but given the data, what has currently happened that I can apply forward and get better results. So, the thing that it can't be is that it can't be a tool looking for a problem. Right? There's enough problems in the channel. You don't have to create another one. So what you can really do is try to really address those issues that people have been really trying to solve for a long time in channel programs. And that's the approach that, we're preaching is, start with opportunities, for example, and think about, how you could use machine learning to drive better return on opportunities, on leads, on inquiries. So, for example, if you look, if a partner manager is working with their reseller partners and they're working a pipeline of opportunities, there are going to be some opportunities that the partner will naturally flock to, and those are going to be those low-hanging fruit. And then there's going to be opportunities that they'll stay away from, less qualified. But somewhere in the middle of their pipeline, there's a few opportunities that look a lot like opportunities that other partners are working on. And maybe those partners are engaging that buyer in a new activity, a nurture program, making them an offer for learning, whatever it might be. It is driving the success of that opportunity. So machine learning learns from one side and then applies it to the other, so then it could actually provide insights to the partner or the partner manager and say, hey, here's 5 opportunities that are likely to close in the next 30 days if you follow the following 3 steps, right? And so that's really cool, and I think it's worth talking about. Another example is the impact of learning on reseller productivity. So if you had learning and you had resellers and you had new campaigns, what's working, what's not? What should I dial up and what should I dial down? So you see, there's a lot of opportunities here to look at different areas of channel programs to solve some real traditional problems using data. And I would say that the only reason you couldn't do this before is because all of this data was stuck in different silos. So as I started the conversation by saying, in my vision, I see, these silos being broken and the applications coming together. That's what we're doing at Zift. We're bringing together the PRM, the CMM, the learning management, the incentives, all under one platform, so that you only have to make one decision, work with a vendor that can offer you these things. And the idea would be that now that data flows across the silos. So I can look at, my reporting tool and look at, training information, and then look at productivity data and say, hey, how are these things working together? Oh, here's a course that every time a reseller takes one, they do this next thing, and that leads to an opportunity. That's fantastic. That's the kind of engagement I'm looking for. So you can see I'm really excited about it. And, if you want to learn more, it's going to be, like you said, at the B2B Marketing Exchange, and on the second day at around 11:45, was it, or 11?
Yeah, 11:25. Yep.
There you go. Good. But yeah, Bob, that's about it. That's where we're going with this.
I think you have reason to be excited. I think that's great. So it's shared learning from all the different systems and seeing patterns, and also shared applications.
You got it.
It's a beautiful thing. So I was going to ask you what the difference is between the AI and propensity modeling. So propensity modeling, I guess, is a subset, or it's one application of intelligence, but it's one dimensional.
That's right. I think propensity is looking at the odds and looking at what's likely to happen based on the available data. And where I saw this work in the channel would be, distributors would say, if we ran a program, we have, for example, we have the tool, and we, not us, Zift, but at the time, I'm talking about 2 or 3 years ago, we were looking at distributors like Arrow, and they would have tools, and these tools they would use with suppliers to run better campaigns. And what the tools would do is they would say, look, we know everybody who bought everything through our channel. So we know people who bought product A, product B, product C. So if you're trying to sell to the buyer who buys product A, we know who they are, we know where they are, we know what industry they're in, we know what reseller sold it to them, etc. So again, that gives you the narrow opportunity to go in there and just shoot your laser beam into that one opportunity or that list of customers. Whereas machine learning it's not waiting for you to stack those odds. It's basically saying there's a lot of moving parts. And like you just said, there's a pattern going on over here. And we see a similar pattern, less developed over here. So let's take those insights and bring them and say, make suggestions, right? And we're calling it insights. And we make suggestions to the reseller and say, hey, if you ran this campaign against these 3 opportunities, you're likely to see one of them convert and drive a new lead for you. That kind of thing.
Brilliant. So do you work with some of the intelligence companies like Sixth Sense or Everstring?
Yeah. In fact, we gravitate towards each other because we're all working on the same set of data. So like, for instance, Everstring, loose relationships. There's Everstring. There's also Bombora, Big Willow that just got, I think, acquired by Aberdeen. So we're not as working as much with them, but there's opportunities for us to work together. And there's 2 applications there. The first one is partner recruitment, right? These guys don't know it yet, but you could tweak that engine, and instead of searching for buyers who are exhibiting certain behavior, you could search for resellers that are primed to join your channel program, right? And it's a great application of their tools. And when I talk to them about that, they go, oh, didn't think about that, but you're right, we can do that. So that's one way. The other one is just the traditional intent data. So imagine we have 14,000 Cisco resellers coming to our platform and executing marketing campaigns. Well, those campaigns are only as good as the content and the data that they have. So if they could use intent data to drive the efficacy and efficiency of those programs, then that would be a good thing. And in our world, we have a marketplace where these types of services are available to that Cisco buyer. And, just go to their marketing hub. It's online, and you'll see how, resellers can do that. But that's us behind the scenes, and the idea would be that some of these services could be offered through those marketplaces.
Cool. So your applications that you work with are both marketing to potential channel partners and bringing in more channel partners, as well as working with the channel partners to help them market to increase sales.
Well, marketing to and marketing through.
Marketing to and marketing through. Very good.
Cool.
So what are some examples of some best practices you've seen? Who does a good job of ABM and intelligence and applying intelligence to be smart about all this?
Well, rather than get into one company, I'll tell you what works for the winners. Okay. And I thought about this before joining you on the call today. I think there's two sides of the coin, right? There's the supplier side, and then there's the partner side, right? And so on the supplier side, I think the companies that are standouts are the ones that create these programs, but just like we just talked about right now, marketing to and marketing through, they invest not equal amounts, but a certain amount in driving awareness for the program and explaining to partners, giving them the marketing enablement to execute the program, and doing that in conjunction. So like what I'm saying is, let's say a supplier is running an account-based marketing program, offering that to a partner. Well, before they engage the partner in there, they're working on the marketing enablement with the partner. So they're explaining to them, maybe through a concierge service like Zift provides, and asking them, here's how we're going to use that data. It's going to be loaded into an account-based marketing program. It's only for this. And they kind of like set them up for success. And then that partner, at that point in time when they've taken this learning, is much more able to execute the program. So then they'll go into the program and execute it. And there's like a 30% uplift in engagement if you do this, with the learning and the execution. So, those companies, they got that piece right. So I think, what that tells me is that if you really want to run a successful ABM program, you have to explain to partners how you're going to use their data, be prescriptive. So don't think that you're going to use this later and, target it in some nurture campaigns, because that will break your trust. And once you do that, you have to have those programs lined up and ready to go. Those partners are not coming to you because they want you to make them better marketers. They're coming to you because they want leads. And if an ABM program is going to help them sell into existing maybe tier 1 accounts, then they're willing to share some of their data, but only if you'll share some of the results with that and make it easy for them to market with you. So I think that's on the supplier side, best practice. And then on the partner side is, I think that partners need to get a little smarter on using ABM, frankly. I think that they need to tell their story in an integrated way and know that ABM is just, one tactic in the arsenal of marketing, right? You have to realize that most resellers don't have a lot of, resources here. So the person who's executing this marketing is typically wearing, 2 or 3 hats in the organization because they're smaller companies. So when you get them to market with you, most suppliers are coming to them with kind of one and done activities. So they're saying, here's an ABM program, here's a social syndication program, here's a top of the funnel program, here's a tele program, right? And, now a partner's working with, 7 different suppliers, maybe 3 of them are offering marketing tools like these. And so what happens, they become one and done. They execute this with this supplier, they execute that with another. And so I think what really works from the partner side now is that the partner kind of steps back and tries to tell their story in an integrated way, tries to tell the value they bring to the table, and uses the data that they have on their customers who, you think some suppliers of data, some of these partners have been working with these companies since they were founded. And, they have tons of behavioral data, they have tons of transactional data. And I think the key is to teach them to leverage this to open up new doors and opportunities for not just ABM, but all the other types of programs. And remember, I'm telling you this knowing that there's a level of sophistication far less than what you see on the supplier side. So that's why it has to be very prescriptive. In other words, you have to serve up the programs because they didn't come here to cook the meal, they came here to eat the meal.
Very good. All right. So I think this is great. So is there any questions I haven't asked you, which I should? Otherwise, I look forward to seeing your presentation.
Well, no, I don't know, but just to kind of put a little angle on this, I don't know if you heard my dog bark during our conversation, but this is the second podcast where somebody talks about my dog, and I have to introduce him. His name is Pepe. He's like a little Maltese rescue mix. And, especially when I get passionate about something, he starts barking. So, if you heard him bark, that's because it was really important what I had to say. So thanks
He's
for the
an
opportunity.
ABM fan. He's an artificial intelligence fan.
Well, his best meal is one that he knows, right?
Well, since you introduced him, maybe if you can send me a picture, we'll include him on our presentation.
He's getting more famous than I am, my friend.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure, Laz. You've got a lot of good knowledge to share, and I look forward to your presentation. And I appreciate your sharing.
All right, Bob. Thanks for all of this, and looking forward to meeting all the folks joining the B2B Marketing Exchange. Take care.
Beautiful. Thank you. Cheers.